This award-winning founder built an AI design product and a user community of 500,000 users in less than 5 years. In this episode, we chat about how you can gain a lasting advantage as an AI product creator. We also discuss product development philosophy for anyone who is interested in building on top of Chat GPT-3. Tony Beltramelli is a founder of Uizard, spelled with a U instead of W. Uizard helps you build stunning mockups and prototypes in minutes. Welcome to the show, Tony. Thank you for joining our call. Tell me about your product. Tell us about where you are, how long have you been doing it, et cetera, et cetera.
Hey, Deval, nice to meet you and thanks for having me. Yeah, so I'm the CEO and co-founder of Uizard. So if you want to look us up online, you need to look for Uizard spelled with a U instead of a W. And we are basically building an AI-powered design tool to make it easier for anyone to basically build products, interfaces for mobile app, web apps, you name it. Design is pretty hard, so we bring AI at the core to just make it easier for everyone.
Yeah, design is the last frontier, right? That's the part that takes a lot of creativity, a lot of lateral thinking. What was your thought process like when it came to building the product? And how did you infuse AI in the capability?
Yeah, so I've been basically brought into AI doing my grad studies. I've been doing like a few projects back in the days. And then in 2017, back when I was working as a data scientist, I was just still tinkering around with AI and deep learning in my weekends. And actually, it's one of these like research projects that was laying down the foundation for the company. So the company essentially started as an AI research project before it even became a product in a company. So it was really like, we didn't have to just back it up at the end. It was just part of the foundation.
That's awesome, man. When did you found the company? Uizard, when did you find that company? When was it founded?
Yeah, of course. So the kind of like part-time weekend project that I'm talking about was something I was building back in April 2017. But it was just honestly like a side project. And we only incorporated a company officially in 2018 with my co-founder. So early 2018, it took a long time to build the product, make sure it worked, make sure it solved a real problem, iterate around a customer. And then we launched out of private beta in February 2021. It took a while.
Wow. Yeah. Did you launch it on Product Hunt or did you have a list to go from?
We had both. We had gathered a waiting list of folks that had signed up to our private beta and alpha. But eventually, of course, when we were ready to go live, we also did a few launches on Product Hunt. We actually won Golden Kitty Awards for Best AI and Machine Learning Product in 2021, if I remember correctly.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. And how was the launch? Can you share about a little bit about the launch, whether it was sufficient enough for you to bypass the seed round or, yeah, if you can share any of that data.
Yeah, of course. So at the time we launched, we already had raised roughly $3.6 million of capital. So seed. It takes a lot of juice to just build a compelling product. I think Figma took like 4 years to launch, with it's like the same story with us. And so launch, it didn't it never happened. Like the launch day and then you just skyrocket. Of course, you just need a spike of launch. You just nurture your user base and it takes time to ramp up. So yeah, it took a long time to just build the awareness, build the right network effect in the product to incentivize folks to invite other folks. But yeah, it took a while. Now we've raised more than 18 million US dollars, and we're serving a growing community of more than 500,000 users. But it took a while to get there.
Wow. Yeah. So that's 500,000 users. And the whole myth about all of a sudden you found a product market fit and you're getting pulled and your servers are crashing. That was like a romantic story. That didn't really happen for you. You had to make incremental improvements that led to finding that fit eventually. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's absolutely correct. Throughout the 2 years of beta, there was a lot of product iteration. We had to just kill features, relaunch new features, test with customers. It takes a while before you can actually measure and quantify that you have product market fit. You would have, yeah, that's the road we took. Let's just measure that we have product market fit before we put this live on the internet. But yeah, even though we measured we had product market fit, it's still not an overnight success, right? It took a while to just get to the first 10K, 20K, 50K, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's a gradual process, right? It's not something that happens overnight. And a lot of people have all of a sudden they'll find the fit.
No, completely. But then when it works, you can actually really see that it works. In the past, like 6 months, we've acquired and served more users than we've had in the first year of the launch. It compound, and when the compounding effect works, you can definitely see it. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. And the distribution and the right amount of capabilities creates the pull in the market. So that's great. Thank you for sharing all of that. Let's dive into your AI capabilities. Tell me, how is it different than other design tools that are
Yeah,
out there? And yeah,
yeah. So features are honestly quite unique. You can of course assume that I'm just trying to market our own product here, but you probably won't find this anywhere else on any other product. For example, we leverage AI to just enable our users to import a screenshot. So let's say that you are a product manager at Airbnb and you want to revamp that onboarding flow when you get new people to sign up. If you were to just open Figma, Sketch, any other tool, if you don't have anything already designed, you have to start from scratch. So what we've done is that we enable you to import a screenshot of anything, and then we use AI to just recreate what's in that screenshot so you can actually then go ahead and modify it to your liking. So you overcome the white blank page problem in just a few seconds. Drag and drop your screenshot, modify it, there you go, you have your design. There's other places where we use AI as well. For example, let's assume that you are like me, you know what you want to build, but you're not the greatest designer. So you can tell our AI, hey, you know what? This is great, but it looks pretty bad. Can you please just copy and paste the style of, I don't know, Twitter and make it look like Twitter? And so that's also a place where our AI can just automatically do this, pull the style of anything and then apply it to your project. Another example would be you can brainstorm ideas on paper or on the whiteboard with your team. And then you can just snap a picture of whatever you sketched. And then our AI will transform this automatically into a design that you can then modify. So it really, all of these features is all about like, how can we just simplify the ideation flow to make people focus on the core value, right? I'm trying to solve a problem with this design. I don't want to get lost into the weeds of like, how many pixels to the right, how many pixels to the left should I move that button? It really doesn't matter when it comes to ideation. And that's kind of like what we're trying to do with AI.
wow, I see you have a lot of differentiation within the product. One biggest challenge you're solving is the initial creativity block that some designers experience when they have a blank page, and you solve that biggest problem, right? So now you have something to play off of, and that's awesome. When did you build the foundational AI model or ML model that served the backbone of the product? Like, how did you decide the use cases that, yeah, we are going to solve for this use case and we're going to use this AI capability? What was that process like? Tell me about the first use case that you decided to tackle with ML.
The first use case was really like the foundation project that I mentioned earlier that kind of gave birth to this company. And it was so, just context on this, when I was like my first tech job, when I was still an undergrad, was front-end developer. And I just hated the part where you need to take the design work and transform it into code with HTML and CSS. And so back at that point, the idea was, hey, can we use AI to just take a picture of the design and then turn it into code automatically? The developer can just focus then on implementing the business logic. And of course, this feature was launched and eventually not used by our users, so we just killed it. But the core foundation of trying to understand the user interface, buttons, forms, what is an image, what is a text field, what is a login screen, all this core foundation is the same that power our tech today. It's all about, okay, we are going to be operating within design, within user interface design. And if you machine the basic concepts of that domain, then you can reuse it for all sorts of application. Like all the features are ultimately based off the same core, whether it's for styling, page generation, you name it, it's kind of the same core. So as a general principle, I would say if someone wants to build a product for, I don't know, the automotive industry, focus on what are the overall concepts of the automotive industry that you want to work with, And if you kind of like nail learning these concepts, then you can actually build multiple application layer on top without having to redo the core every single time.
So a new AI product creator or a product creator who's thinking of adding AI to her portfolio or existing product, the advice will be to learn the concepts, the industry, the inner workings of a domain. And then once you understand that, you can turn that into a use case and add AI capabilities to those use cases very easily with today's technologies. Am I hearing that right?
Pretty much think about the GPT-3. The reason why GPT-3 is just so amazing at, being versatile is that ultimately they didn't try to teach GPT to, I don't know, understand emails or understand customer support tickets. They focused on training a machine to understand English or language. And then once you kind of like nail that core foundation of understanding language, you can then do other things like customer support, email, copywriting. So like the same principle, like what are the building blocks of the domain you're trying to target and automate with AI? Nail this, and then the application layer will almost become a no-brainer on top of that core model.
Would you say that with this new transformational technology that we have found ourselves being able to play with, would you say that for a product creator, domain knowledge has become a lot more important now than it was before? Because a lot of generic stuff, all the typical product work that people used to do has been commoditized. And what remains is the product creator's ability to understand the domain and tease out the relevant use cases. Would you say that's a valid hypothesis?
I would actually agree. And I would even say UX, the quality of the product around the AI, is probably even more important than the core AI. I mean, if you think about ChatGPT, which we just mentioned, OpenAI launched GPT-3 in what, like 2020? And there was like no traction. A bunch of researchers, engineers were playing with it and had fun leveraging it for different products. But it's only when ChatGPT came that, in 5 days, they had 1 million active users. But it's the same model. It's still GPT-3 under the hood. The reason why it scales so rapidly is that the quality of the product, leveraging this core AI, was just mind-blowing. You could interface with it, chat with it as if it was like a human, and that makes the core difference. So as you said, like for new product creators, it's all about like the domain, the product that people are ultimately going to interact with. They're not going to interact with the AI. They're going to interact with the product that's around the AI. And if you nail this, then you win, basically. It doesn't matter how smart, or it's secondary. Quality of the AI is secondary, I would even say.
Yeah, let's change gears a little bit. Thank you for sharing that. One question I have for you is that you seem to be fairly technical co-founder. How would you recommend people who don't have that sophisticated technical background? What do you recommend them to break into the AI product creation space? Or is there a learning curve there? Can we use the existing LLMs, the large language models, their APIs? Or do you recommend fine tuning them? And then if there is process of fine tuning, what is the learning curve there, like for a non-technical person?
This is where I'm probably going to have a very different opinion. Yeah. But what I would say is that ultimately, it's very easy to build something around an API, as you mentioned. Well, easy in terms of getting something up and running. It's really hard to build a great product around it. But so I guess the core, whether you are technical or not, is what's your differentiator that makes this product unique? Because there are going to be like so many other products. And if yours was easy to build, then how do you defend against copycat, right? You need to find a moat, whether it's the quality of the product that's just so much better, whether it's a community of users. So ultimately, the way companies win is not just by having great products, is also having great distribution and a way to just put this product in the hands of users. So if you're a non-technical person, you might actually be really shining at the distribution part. And ultimately, this could enable you to be successful, even if you can't master the higher level of technicality that your product offers. So that would be one. Distribution ultimately decides who win and who doesn't, I would say.
That's great. So distribution is one of the most underrated PM product creation capabilities. And once you find the distribution, the important thing is to be able to iterate on the feedback you get from the users who are experiencing your product. For your situation, did you have a big team to support you with all of those iterations? How do you find that initial fit when you are going through those iterations?
Well, initially, how did we find our first customer? How did we find our first users to get feedback from? Because we had basically built some very transformative tech, just having a few demo videos online was actually enough to just initiate enough interest that some people will start signing up to a waitlist. And then from that waitlist, we could just then go and recruit people to just access the beta, the alpha, and learn from their feedback. So I guess there is always like early adopters that are looking for trying new novel tech. And so AI has this just magical effect that people suddenly want to try, right? So you can totally leverage this to your advantage and collect sign up email and eventually get the first 10 or 100 people to try your product and iterate from.
Yeah, that's awesome. In your case, what was that moat? When earlier you mentioned that you had to find a moat, whether it's a technical advantage, user experience, community, or distribution. In your specific situation, did you find that moat through your product, through your distribution? What was that like?
Well, I guess the moat is something that we are constantly building and refining, right? Because as a company grows, the moat changes over time. Initially, it might be the deep knowledge that the founding team has for a specific problem that no one else understands. Like this is your unique selling point that no one else has and can replicate. But eventually, it's the quality of your tech, quality of your product, quality of your community. But early on, we had no moat. I mean, when we were first building this company, if anyone had the same core interests about a specific problem we're trying to solve, it would have been fairly easy for someone to replicate it if they started at the same point in time. So early on, I would say your moat is like how deeply you understand the problem you're trying to solve. That makes it hard for anybody else to just solve as well as you would. But over time, for us, it became clearly the product and the community. We've had really put an emphasis on community-led growth, which ultimately is hard for other companies to replicate, plus the core technologies, which is still not available in any other design tool. We still are the only one with the features that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, so it looks like you found moat in two places. One was in the community-led growth, and the second was in your core technology advantage of understanding the problem and identifying the most foundational use cases like initial writers or initial creative block. Looks like you really have an amazing roadmap ahead of yourself. Tell us a little bit about where is your vision? What is your vision of the product?
Yeah, the vision of the product is really to enable anyone within the product team to take an active part in design processes. Design is increasingly important. You can probably like every product you use, you will immediately judge this product based on the quality of the design and the UX of this product. You might actually just not even look twice at that new app you just install if it doesn't feel good to use. But the challenge is one, Figma is really hard if you are not the designer. The number of time I meet a manager or a team lead that doesn't know how to get around Figma is just insane. And two, even the few folks that understand how to use Figma, well, they're already pretty busy with all sorts of design work and product discovery. So our vision is like, how can we just empower all the other people in the team that don't have the time or the skills to use Figma to still take an active part in product design? Because chances are, it's not just the designers or the product team that have good ideas. The customer success, our team is hearing feedback from customers every day. They have some kind of intuition on how to fix it. And so if we provide them a tool that enable them to materialize the vision, then ultimately they can help the product team move faster towards solution and everybody wins. So core vision is, again, like put design in the hands of as many people as possible so companies can build better product faster.
Thank you for sharing that. And we'll end on this question. What advice do you have for product creators in new to the AI space or existing product creators in the AI space who are trying to excel?
It might not be the best thing for a lot of folks to hear, but you need to get deep into the technical details. You can build a lot of things around API, but ultimately, you don't want to build a product that would just die if OpenAI decide to just turn off the API. And so if you want to build something that lasts, you really need to understand what's going on under the hood. And so I would say, like, get at least an intuition of what's going on. So you understand at least, how to move things, how to move forward, how to recruit the best engineers, and how to have more proactive process around improving your product. A great place to start would be the Fast AI course, which is free, maintained by Jeremy Howards, which is an amazing place to just, get into AI really quickly and for free. So go ahead and learn the deep stuff.
Great. Thank you so much for being on the show, Tony. We learned a lot from you. Thank you once again.
Thanks for having me, Daval.